The recent court ruling on a declaratory judgment application by a Member of Parliament against the government of the day has had many interpretations by the public and a response by the government that the new appointments will not change is wrong, says the applicant, Honourable Tungia Sioniholo. Honourable Sioniholo said he is pleased with part of the court ruling, but it needs more clarification with the Constitution and the interpretation and other changes in some of the legislations.
The decision is basically against the two members concerned. It's not against the Premier. His name is not listed on the decision. So it's up to the two members to make up their minds. But it's important to accept the decision as it is. And if you disagree with it, you file an appeal against the decision by the judge of the High Court, and you file an appeal to the Court of Appeal. I'm not happy with part of it. Well, let me put it this way: I'm not satisfied with part of it, so I intend to file an appeal on that part. But otherwise, it's a good decision. First, because it's the court has declared what the law is with respect to the sections concerned, what the article concerned, and I'm happy with that.
Now, you're saying you're happy with one part. Now, there's been a lot of confusion and different interpretation by different people in regards to the ruling. The part that I guess follows the Constitution, that's a bit that weren't so clear. Were you clear about that part?
Yeah, that was a difficult part. It could have been a much clearer decision by the judge. The new Constitution is the supreme law, which is the point I was making, that Section 11 was ultra-virus, basically being it's illegal. It's inconsistent with the Constitution, and therefore it's illegal. But then he went on and focused a lot on an ordinary act of the New Zealand Parliament, a country that have no written constitution at all. So I'm appealing that part about Section 11. The second part about the salaries of the two members, I'm less interested on that one. I mean, it's a very clear decision. You cease payment and repay the money back. But another important issue that came up on that one is the fact that that was illegal payment when they start paying them in June. There wasn't any authority to authorize that payment. And that's an issue of concern for the people of this country, that somebody would just authorize payment without any authority to do so.
He also said the two members of Parliament who are now holding the new appointments need to be aware of the ramifications of the courts.
In a democracy, you respect the ruling of court. If you disagree with it, the proper course of action is to appeal the decision. But you don't ignore it. If you need further clarification, you go back to the court and ask for clarification. But you don't ignore it, because that's contempt of court. And that's a very serious offense against the court decision. If you are in contempt of court, they can put you in jail for that. So it's for the two members concerned to really respect the decision of the court.
The case is expected to apply to the Court of Appeal. We'll bring you more on this story in our future news bulletin. And education is everyone's business was the message as teachers and education providers completed 2 days of consultations in the Education Department's annual Open Day program today. The year's theme, Rethinking Education, was reflected in a milestone achievement for the department with the first draft of the new curriculum framework, a contextualization of the New Zealand curriculum presented to teachers today. A new approach to educating students that is also in line with NUI's constitution.
It's the contextualization of the New Zealand curriculum into our own culture. I guess the benefit is for the teachers to have the document in both Wangahoniwe and English, which is stipulated in our new Constitution 1974, that Niue's official languages is Wangahoniwe and English.
The newer curriculum will be implemented across the board from ECE all the way up to secondary school, with benefits for both teachers and students.
I believe that it will help the students a great deal in terms of how teachers will interpret and use it in the classroom. Because it is available in our Banghao, the students will also have an opportunity to read it and understand it in our language. As we all know, most of the students speak in English nowadays, but we still need them to speak and use our Banghao Niue. Otherwise, if there are less than 5,000 people speaking Banghao Niue, then that's language going towards extinction. So the students will benefit a lot through the use of this new curriculum. However, we still need resources for teachers to have professional development and textbooks, modern technology for our students to use. So hopefully we get all the resources to support the new curriculum. So that's probably the next stage of the project.
There is still much work that needs to be done to consult and distribute the draft for feedback from various stakeholders in the community. Schools are due back again for the first term for 2012 next Monday, the 6th of January. Government officials and senior managers put their IT competency to the test as Telecom Niue and the Secretariat of the Pacific Community organized a 3-day workshop on the essentials of information communication technology. The training is part of a regional project that includes building the capacity of policymakers, legislators, and parliamentarians of 14 Pacific ACP countries to ultimately improve access to ICT services for the poor, including rural and remote island communities. Director of Telecom Tutuli Heka says the focus of the training was to develop the capacity of government officials in the use of ICT for development, but also to be mindful of. He said it is important for parliamentarians as legislators and decision makers to be aware of the benefits and risks that ICT poses. However, Niue currently has a legislation being drafted to counteract any cyber crimes. Niue is the 11th country to take part in this training through the Academy of ICT Essentials for Government Leaders program, first introduced into the Pacific region in September 2008. And to end our news bulletin for tonight, Niue government has now signed another agreement with Reef Shipping to service the island for another 3 years. According to Honourable Premier Toketa Langi, the main reason for the new negotiations is to benefit Niue.
The main thrust was to try to reduce the cost of freight, and Reef had agreed to reduce it by 10% all around, and I understand that they will be reducing the freezer and chiller charges by even more than that. So I'm hoping that will help improve, if you like, the prices of goods that are arriving back up here on Niue. I think there are 1 or 2 clauses that we need to review within the first year of thing, and that's in relation to thing, but otherwise in relation to termination. But otherwise, I'm pleased with the shipping agreement and the fact that we are able to continue with Reef over the next 3 years with annual reviews of the terms.
Were there any discussions at all in regards to the route it takes? Because sometimes, it's late.
Yes, there was, and Reef is bound by a requirement to call in every 30 or 30 days, and they will change that route according to that. For example, at the present moment, there was a problem with one of the gears on board of the vessel. They've had to repair it. They will be delayed coming back here, so they're intending to come to Niue straight rather than go to Tonga Islands as they normally would, and then go around. So there is a degree of flexibility in the schedule to ensure that we can or they can, and we can ask them to respond to our requirements as required. I think this is part of the reasons why sometimes our folk get a bit dissatisfied with the fact that the shipping is delayed. And we say to them, look, you might have to order a bit more than what you normally would. I know it's carrying a bit more stock than what you normally would, but it's helpful if you can do that. Otherwise, you're going to be short all the time.
Though there were other interests in the contract, government has continued with the current operators, Reef Shipping. That's our news bulletin for tonight. Good evening.